She hired a woman to seduce my husband, claiming our marriage needed excitement. That woman turned out to be my best friend from college. I sat at my kitchen counter, gripping my phone as disbelief coursed through me. The text messages from my mother-in-law, Eleanor, flashed across the screen, each word dripping with smug satisfaction. Honey, I've done you a favor. David needs a real woman, someone who can give him the excitement he deserves. Don't blame me for trying to fix your boring marriage. My name is Sophie Anderson, and at 32, I never imagined I'd be reading messages from my husband's mother bragging about hiring someone to seduce him. But then again, Eleanor had never hidden her disdain for me, the simple teacher who had, in her eyes, stolen her precious son away from the high society life she envisioned for him. The irony? David and I were happier than ever. His architectural firm was thriving, my fourth-grade students adored me, and we just moved into our dream home in the suburbs. But to Eleanor, our contentment was a problem. A marriage needs drama, she would proclaim at every family dinner, her sharp gaze locking onto me. Passion, excitement. Not this, domestic routine. I scrolled further, my eyes narrowing at her so-called master plan. She had hired what she called a sophisticated woman through an exclusive agency, placing her at David's firm as a temporary consultant. In her mind, this woman would awaken some dormant dissatisfaction in my husband, making him realize what he was supposedly missing by being married to me. She's everything you're not, worldly, ambitious, experienced, Eleanor had written. David won't be able to resist. I should have been outraged, heartbroken, maybe even afraid. Instead, a laugh bubbled up inside me. Because what Eleanor didn't know was that just 3 days ago, my college best friend, Olivia, had called me, barely able to contain her amusement. Sophie, you're not going to believe this, she'd said. Some wealthy woman specifically requested me for a consulting job at David's firm. She kept emphasizing that I should dress to impress and show him what he's missing. I think your mother-in-law is trying to set up your husband. Olivia and I had been inseparable in college, bonding over late-night study sessions, disastrous relationships, and wild adventures. She had stood by my side as my maid of honor, and though her high-powered consulting career kept her traveling, we had never drifted apart. The best part? Olivia had continued laughing. She has no idea we know each other. She just saw my credentials and photo and thought I was the perfect seductress. Should we tell her, or should we have some fun with this? Now, rereading Eleanor's triumphant messages, I knew exactly what we should do. I dialed Olivia's number. Your new client just texted me to gloat, I said when she picked up. Feel like teaching my mother-in-law a lesson. Her laughter was immediate. I thought you'd never ask. I start tomorrow. Should I play the role she's paying for? I grinned, already picturing Eleanor's horror when she realized her plan had spectacularly backfired. No need to fake anything. Just be yourself. But maybe dress up a little more than usual. Let's give her a show she won't forget. This is going to be fun, Olivia mused. But what about David? Should we tell him? I considered my husband, who had spent years pushing back against his mother's relentless meddling. Not yet. Let's see how this plays out first. Besides, he's been saying he needs help with the Miller project. You're actually perfect for that consultation. After we hung up, I turned back to Eleanor's messages and typed out a reply. Thank you for caring so much about our marriage, NIL. I'm sure this consultant will be exactly what David needs. Her response was immediate. Just remember, dear, sometimes we have to accept when we're not enough for someone. I set my phone down, shaking my head with equal parts pity and anticipation. Eleanor had spent years trying to prove I wasn't good enough for David, so obsessed with her own vision of what his life should be that she never stopped to see what actually made him happy. Tomorrow, my best friend would start her new job as the so-called other woman, and Eleanor would learn an unforgettable lesson in meddling. I poured myself a glass of wine, already planning our next move. This was going to be interesting. The next morning, I moved through my usual routine, glancing at my phone now and then for any updates from Olivia. Around 10 a.m., a notification buzzed. It was a photo of Olivia, poised and elegant in a sharply tailored business suit, standing beside David in his office. The caption read, "First day on the job. Your husband just introduced me to the team. Should I reminisce about our spring break in Cancun?" I barely managed to suppress a laugh during my class's quiet reading time. Moments later, another message appeared, this time from Eleanor. the consultant started today. David's secretary says they had quite the lengthy private meeting. Maybe he's finally realizing what he's been missing. If only she knew they were probably reminiscing about that time Olivia and I got lost on a hiking trip and had to be rescued by park rangers in college. By lunchtime, my phone rang. Eleanor's voice oozed false concern. Sophie dear, I just thought you should know. I dropped by David's office with lunch, and he was working very closely with the new consultant. They seemed quite comfortable. Oh, how wonderful, I chirped, unbothered. I'm so glad they're getting along. The Miller Project needs someone with strong credentials. A silence stretched on the other end. Clearly, my lack of jealousy wasn't the reaction she'd anticipated. Well, yes, but don't you think it's inappropriate for them to be spending so much time together? Not at all, I said smoothly. In fact, why don't you join us for dinner tomorrow? David mentioned inviting her over to continue their work discussion. You should come too, you did find her after all. Eleanor sputtered. Dinner? At your house? With her? Of course, you've done so much to support our marriage, you should be there to see the results. After hanging up, I fired off a message to Olivia. Dinner tomorrow night. Eleanor's coming. Wear that red dress from my wedding rehearsal. The next evening, I prepared Eleanor's favorite meal, the same dish she had criticized at last year's Thanksgiving. Olivia arrived first, looking effortlessly chic. We were catching up in the kitchen when the doorbell rang. Eleanor entered, dressed to impress, clearly expecting to witness the beginning of her carefully laid scheme. But she froze at the sight of Olivia and me laughing together. Eleanor. Olivia greeted warmly, stepping forward. Sophie's told me so much about you. Thank you for recommending me for this position. It's almost like fate brought me back to them. Eleanor's expression turned rigid. Back to them? Just then, David walked in. Mom, I see you've met Olivia. Can you believe the coincidence? My new consultant turns out to be Sophie's best friend from college. You remember, she was the maid of honor at our wedding. I wish I had a camera to capture the sequence of emotions that played across Eleanor's face. Confusion, realization, horror, and finally, humiliation. She clutched her designer purse as if it might save her. Your best friend, she managed, turning to me. Yes, I beamed. When you texted me about hiring someone to bring some excitement to my marriage, I was thrilled to find out it was Olivia. You truly couldn't have picked a better person. She knows exactly what David needs. Olivia lifted her wine glass. Eleanor, your son has been fantastic to work with. Such a devoted husband. He even spent half an hour today showing me photos from his and Sophie's anniversary trip. And the way he talks about Sophie's teaching career, he's so proud and supportive. Eleanor sank into a chair, her perfect plan crumbling before her eyes. I don't understand. The agency said. All of the agency did a fantastic job, Olivia assured her. They matched David's firm with precisely the right consultant. The fact that Sophie and I have been best friends for 15 years? Just a delightful bonus. Though I am curious, why did you specifically request someone to dress provocatively and flirt with David? The room fell into a stunned silence. David turned to his mother, his expression dark with disappointment. Mom, what is Olivia talking about? Taking pity on Eleanor's rapidly unraveling composure, I smoothly redirected. Why don't we all sit down? Eleanor, I made your favorite coq au vin. You always said mine needed improvement. I hope this version is exciting enough for you. Throughout dinner, Eleanor barely touched her food, her face flushed as Olivia regaled us with college stories, including how she'd helped David plan his proposal to me. David, meanwhile, kept shooting his mother looks of quiet disapproval between discussions about the Miller Project. Finally, Eleanor stood abruptly. I should go, she announced, her voice strained. I just remembered. An appointment. But you haven't even tried dessert, I said sweetly. I made it with plenty of drama and excitement, just how you like things. She snatched up her purse and practically fled. As the door clicked shut, the three of us exchanged glances before bursting into laughter. I can't believe she tried to hire someone to seduce me, David said, shaking his head. Though I must admit, her taste in consultants is impeccable. He raised his glass to Olivia. Should we feel bad? I asked, though I couldn't stop grinning. Absolutely not, Olivia replied. Besides, the Miller Project really did need my expertise. And Eleanor's generous consulting fee. That'll cover that spa weekend the three of us talked about. After our dinner fight, things changed quickly. Eleanor stopped showing up at David's office unannounced and quit sending her usual helpful marriage advice texts. Even at family dinners, she was quieter than usual, barely speaking or looking at anyone. But I knew this wasn't over. 3 weeks later, she struck back. "Have you heard what your mother is saying?" David's sister, Emma, called to warn me. "She's telling everyone you and Olivia planned us to humiliate her, that you somehow knew about the consultant and set her up." I laughed. "And how does she think we did that? Did we magically make her hire my best friend to seduce her own son?" "I know, it's ridiculous," Emma said. "But Mom hates being outsmarted. She's trying to twist the story to make you the bad guy." Later, Eleanor sent a family group text. "I think we need to talk about Sophie's concerning behavior. She deliberately embarrassed me, showing her true colors. I was only trying to help their marriage, and she turned it into a cruel joke. Family dinner this Sunday. We need to discuss this." I showed David the message. He sighed, frustrated. "This has to stop. She's been trying to control our marriage for years, and now she's playing the victim." "Should we skip dinner?" I asked. "No," he said, determined. "We're going, and we're bringing proof." Sunday dinner was tense. Eleanor had gathered the whole family, sitting at the head of the table like a queen about to deliver a verdict. Before she could speak, David stood up. "I have something to share," he said, pulling out his phone. He pressed play. Eleanor's voice filled the room. "I need someone young and attractive to show my son what he's missing. No, competence isn't important. The more tempting, the better. Money is no object if you can find someone to break up this marriage." Eleanor's face went pale. "Where did you get that?" she whispered. "The agency records client calls," David said calmly. "When Olivia realized what was going on, she asked for a copy for legal reasons." "Legal reasons?" Eleanor's voice shook. "Yes," I said, keeping my tone gentle. "Trying to break up a marriage and lying to an agency has consequences, Eleanor." "Are you threatening me?" "Not at all," David said. "We just want the truth out there." From the other end of the table, Aunt Martha spoke. "Eleanor, you tried to hire someone to seduce your son. Are you out of your mind?" Chaos erupted. Eleanor's carefully crafted story fell apart. By the end of the night, she fled to her bedroom, claiming a headache. As we left, Emma pulled me aside. "I owe you an apology," she said. "I always thought you were just paranoid about Mom. But this is worse than I ever imagined." The next week, Eleanor checked herself into a wellness retreat in Arizona. Before she left, she sent me a text. "I suppose I underestimated you." I replied, "You underestimated our marriage. David and I are a team, always have been." Olivia finished her project with David's firm, and it was a huge success. She even joked about adding professional marriage strengthener to her resume. As for Eleanor, the retreat seemed to change her. She wasn't a completely different person, but she was more subdued. She even started seeing a therapist. At our next family dinner, she complimented my cooking without adding any helpful suggestions, a small but important step. On the way home, David chuckled. In a weird way, Mom did add excitement to our marriage, just not how she intended. I squeezed his hand. "Should we send her a thank you note?" "Dear Eleanor, thanks for hiring my best friend to seduce your son. It really brought us closer together." He laughed. "Maybe next year's Christmas card." Sometimes I catch Eleanor watching us at dinners, gatherings, family events. She sees how David and I work as a team, how we laugh, how we support each other. And I think finally she's starting to understand that real marriage isn't about drama. It's about trust, love, and partnership. Oh, and Olivia, she just moved to our city to open a new branch of her consulting firm. When we announced she'd be our future baby's godmother, the look on Eleanor's face was priceless.